And welcome to another video. Today is Wednesday, March 10th, 2021, and today we're going to be discussing the 2022 United States midterm elections. So we're going to look and dive into the midterm elections and kind of preview what is to come when it comes to midterm content, what races are we going to be focusing on, and essentially what needs to happen for both parties for them to take control in the houses of Congress. So take this video as a early guide and just the basics as we go into the 2022 election cycle, which is fastly approaching. We're going to be analyzing a lot of these races in a more deeper manner. However, for the time being, I think it's important so we get a snapshot of the whole races. So again, before we begin, please remember to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. I will be posting our first podcast episode of the Purple Talk, a political podcast, on Sunday. We have a very special guest on that, so guys, stay tuned for that. And also, please follow me on Twitter if you really want to see more of my political views and want to chat with me at PPT_purple. So let's get started. So we're going to start by taking a look at the 2022 Senate election. So as we can see, currently the Democrats are in the majority, as they won the two Georgia Senate races at 48 senators plus 2, and Kamala Harris breaks the tie. While Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, has only 50 people. It is essentially a tied Senate currently, which, you know, with Kamala Harris being the dividing vote, Democrats have the majority, although it's very unstable because of people like your Joe Manchins and Kyrsten Sinemas of the world. So for this election, for the Democrats, holding the Senate and gaining this and more seats in the Senate is a thing about being able to work, being a thing of being able to get through their agenda and their policies they really want to bring. Because, you know, we saw, for example, with the COVID relief plan, because of people like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, those votes and like the Democrats' ideals, which they could have easily passed because they have the majority of the House as well, are left behind because, you know, they have very slim control. So that's the objective for the Democrats. Win more seats so they have a little bit more control. For the Republicans, however, it's to put a check on Biden and being able to put their part of the agenda. So as long as Mitch McConnell is in the minority, he's going to be playing his very, bad political games of filibustering and all those things, which, you know, happens with both sides of the aisle. But Mitch McConnell is a political operative who is able to go through and, you know, screw over the Democrats, which for the Republicans is important because winning the Senate gives them a little bit more power, which, of course, in Washington's world, that is beautiful. So now let's go and check in some of the potential comparative races, which we have right here. So as we can see here, the races that we have being competitive according to this Wikipedia article, which is a great way to get a snapshot of the races. You know, the Democrats are defending a lot more seats that Trump won in 2016. That was what happened in 2018. And if you guys remember, in 2018, even though Donald Trump was unpopular, he was able to you know, push the Senate victories to if Republicans even get a +1 gain in the Senate. Now, for the 2022 races, we can see these are the races that they predict to be close. We have the state of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Florida, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, Ohio, Wisconsin. So these states have all very different characteristics. North Carolina, currently held by a Republican, is a state that is very, very rapidly trending Democratic. The vote is getting a lot closer, and with the Democrat strategy in the South, this race is winnable. Pennsylvania, this is a seat currently held by Pat Toomey. He is retiring. This is a very, very bad thing for the Democrats. For the Republicans, because the Democrats could easily win this race. They run the right candidate, and the Republicans run a completely horrible candidate. You know, it might not be, you know, it might not go the best things for them. These are most likely to be toss-ups. Now, these are some of the other competitive races, which, you know, some people think are going to be a lot closer. So we have Arizona. This is Mark Kelly's seat. You know, I'm not really sure how close that's actually going to be. If the Republicans run someone that's not currently, you know, as a Arizona GOP type candidate, they might fare off well here. If that's not the case, it's going to be a little tough for them. Georgia, Raphael Warnock. I mean, it's been announced, Kelly, that David Perdue is running to be the United States Senator for Georgia. If we go into this race, here we can see that Doug Collins and Kelly Loeffler have publicly expressed interest. David Perdue did announce, and I think he withdrew from the race. So that's something that's very interesting. However, I mean, Kelly Loeffler running again, that's a possibility, and Doug Collins running again. He really lost his seat in the House. He has to find something better to do. Florida, this is a race that has been deemed by some people to be a competitive race. However, I do not believe so. The Democrats really don't have any strong candidates that could easily beat Marco Rubio or even make it that competitive. A lot of their biggest bets right now is Nikki Fried, but she looks like she's going to run for governor. Anna Eskamani, she's a state representative. Again, probably not going to win. She's not the type of candidate to win in Florida as a Democrat. And you have to understand, Florida is a very interesting state because where Democrats really excel is African American communities as well as certain suburban areas. And as for Republicans, they're doing a lot better with Latinos and, the rural areas, which means a big part of the population of the state compared to other states. So, generally speaking, I think the Democrats are going to have a tough time in this race. Missouri, this is really blunt. I mean, you can write the right candidate and probably get this race close, if not win. Even, I think that the state of Missouri is probably going to end up going to the Republicans. Nevada, this is Catherine Cortez Masto's seat, if I'm correct. I think, yes. It's either Catherine Cortez Masto or Jackie Rosen. If I'm correct, this is not Jackie Rosen's seat. If we check here on the list of senators, I think it was Catherine Cortez Masto elected in... Yeah, Catherine Cortez Masto. That's what I thought. This race is going to be interesting to see. Catherine Cortez Masto is someone who is very boring as a candidate. They're not as exciting as a senator. And the state of Nevada, if the Republicans run the right candidate, like a Brian Sandoval, former governor of the state of Nevada, it might be a different story. Even Adam Laxalt. So we'll see with there. New Hampshire, this has a very interesting dilemma. So here we have Maggie Hassan again, a pretty boring senator. However, we have a very popular Republican governor in Chris Sununu. If Chris Sununu chooses to run in this race could be even lean Republican. So this is a potential pickup opportunity. In Ohio, this is Rob Portman's retiring seat. He's the Republican senator from Ohio. Again, this seat is going to be heavily contested. A lot of people are going to be vying for it. Amongst Democrats, they're looking at a couple mayors. Even LeBron James is rooming for these seats, so who knows? And last, the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. We're looking at a very interesting race here because it's a retiring he's not retiring, but he might run. But ultimately, this state has been trending a lot more Democratic, and the Republicans might lose. So what are we seeing from here? One, Republicans are defending somewhat of a lot of seats. So, things might go south for them, especially in states like Wisconsin. Mostly Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. So that's going to be interesting to watch. So, now, let's take a look at what the races, these competitive races are rated as. So, here we can see, Cook and Sabato. They're kind of one of the most reliable. This one looks to be a little bit more even. So, and they're more careful, I guess. So, They deem, for example, states like Arizona as battlegrounds, Georgia, Florida, Nevada, and New Hampshire, states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Now, we see states like Wisconsin favoring a little bit more for the Republicans. Pennsylvania, almost an even tie as of this point. And again, we're still very far behind, so that is something that's important to analyze. North Carolina lean a little bit more to the Republican side. Florida, likely Republican. And then in Arizona and in Georgia, we're seeing a little bit more lean Democratic. So those are some interesting trends. So those are the Senate elections. Let's preview the House elections. So this is going to be something that's going to be very interesting. And, for the Republicans, again, even winning the House is a good thing, as they can, maybe put some legislative stop to a lot of Biden's agenda, because if the Democrats have control, and even more control than they currently have, it's going to be a little bit easier for them to control. So they only need 5 seats to gain control of the majority, which it's not that difficult if they win the right seats. And of course, it would be assuming they don't lose any seats, which I think, of course, they're probably going to lose seats. I currently think that the Republicans have a good chance of flipping the House in 2022. And with the Democrats, it could become unpopular. And remember, House races are not as based. Senate races are statewide based, but and that's kind of how campaigning works. But House races are really rooted into what the party's agenda as a whole is, because as a senator, you serve a little bit more as like a mayor, quote unquote, than someone like in the House would. The House really works, in a way that really depends on the national agenda. So, well, the senators can really implement the agenda they want. So, here we can see some of the competitive seats. So, here are just some of the seats that we know that are seats that went to Republicans that Biden won and Trump won, that Democrat representatives. So let's read through these seats. These are probably going to be the closest seats when it comes to the Senate House elections. Illinois 17th, a suburban district, Cherry Bustos. She's that seat's up for grabbing. Iowa, I mean, they could really sweep almost all of the seats, and there goes Sidney Axtey's seat. Jared Golden, I mean, this district is interesting because we see in the 2020 election that Donald Trump won here, yet Jared Golden still held on. Alyssa Slotkin is another possibility for the Democrats, for the Republicans to pick up. Again, these congressional candidates are very strong candidates for the most part, so it's gonna be tough, but I think they're gonna still be able to. Andrew Kim, he's another strong candidate. Matt Cartwright and Ron Kind. These are all the Democratic held seats won by Donald Trump. Now, as for the Republicans held seats, so Joe Biden won the 2020 election, but Republicans won the House. And here we have David Valadao. That's an interesting possibility. Mike Garcia. We have Young Kim and Michelle Steele. So these are kind of these are LA districts, I think, like suburban LA districts, if I'm correct. And then we have the two upper, like middle California districts. So these would be two interesting seats to see. We have Maria Elvira Salazar, which is a Miami-based district. Now, this district was close. This is Donna Shalala's district, and certain things could happen here, and I think there is possibility for the Democrats to pick up this seat. Now they would really have to appeal to the Miami Latino base, but I think the Democrats might be able to. We have Nebraska 2nd, Don Bacon. Here is a place that, I mean, the Democrats really could target. John Katko, he is somewhat popular. He's the chair of one of the committees, very important committee. I think he could do there. Brian Fitzpatrick, again, this is another Pennsylvania seat. So if the Democrat could really appeal to the people in Pennsylvania, they could probably win here. And Beth Van Duen, this is northern Texas. So, this is definitely a possibility for the Democrats. So, I think that the Democrats have an easier route to keeping their majority. And really, for the Republicans to gain the majority, they would have to win either any of these seats. Cherry Bustos, Sidney Axtey, Jared Golden, Alyssa Slotkin. Any of these seats, they could win, and then they would have to hold on to all of these, which, these candidates are very strong Republican candidates. And, if the Republicans are able to run the same strength of candidates like they did in 2020, I think they might be better suited to win the House races. So, this is what we currently have as our preview for our Senate and House elections in 2022. Tell me what you think down in the comments. As of right now, who do you think is going to be the winner of these races? I'm really interested to see. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you guys tune into next time. Remember to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for future content. Hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.